after about 4 months of not remembering, I was like, okay. You know the code.
No.
Oh, you don't?
Is that it? Man, we are. I was trying to see what's going on in there. Is it?
Dead batteries.
Oh, okay.
Camera's not working.
Are we ready to start, or? Oh, except for my phone's on. Always know when Miss Mason's in the room. 38 special comes on. Her phone is 38 special. It was. All right. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town of Arlington Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Monday, March 5th, 2018. Please note that everyone is here and accounted for. If everyone would please stand for the opening prayer by Mr. Vice Mayor Harry McKee, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and this opportunity we have to come to conduct business for the town of Arlington. Thank you for letting us escape the flooding in this area that caused any harm to anyone, and continue to pray that that continues to happen. Be with each and every one of our citizens in this town and in Shelby County, and in the state and in our nation. Be with our military, our first responders. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I think we have a special guest, Reagan Moss. Do I see Reagan Moss? Would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance from there? Yeah, we go. Just wherever. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. All right. Next up, do I have a motion of the approval of the minutes from February 5th, 2018 meeting? Motion by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. Brooks. Any discussion or questions? Is there any objection to approval of the minutes? Seeing none, that item passes. Next up, grievances and comments from citizens. This is a chance we give anyone to come forward and speak on any particular topic they would like. We will give you up to 3 minutes. We do ask you to please come up and state your name and address for the record. And please note that it's not a Q&A, so we may not be able to answer your question specifically. If it's something, but if it's on the agenda tonight, we'll try to address it. But if not, we'll try to take notes and get back with you. So is there anyone here to speak on any particular topic? Seeing none, we move on to communications from the mayor. I don't see, oh, there you are, Lieutenant. I didn't see you there. You snuck in on me. Sheriff's Department report, please.
My name is Lieutenant Patrick Crowder, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, here to give the Crowder report for the month of February of 2018. Looking at the data, we had responded to burglary of a business and robbery of a business. Those two incidents still under investigation at the Sheriff's Office, Detective Bureau, and unable to give an update on the status by still being pending upon investigation. We had a couple of motor vehicle thefts for the month, which is down from the previous month. So we thank the citizens for helping us out to bring those numbers down on the thefts from motor vehicles. The other thing else I have to pass on from the Sheriff's Office is, like I mentioned, thank you all for helping us out and bringing those numbers down. We are here to assist. If you need any type of assistance on your neighborhood watch programs, just let us know. We will have our crime prevention to come out to be able to educate the citizens. That's all I have to pass on for this report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the Sheriff's Department report, the crime report? Thank you very much for being here, Lieutenant. Next up, this will be Chief Harville and Chief McMillan.
Thank you very much. Each year, the State Fire Marshal's Office puts on a state fire prevention poster contest. We've had winners for the last, for 3 out of the last 4 years. This is a poster contest. There's a theme each year. When seconds count, no 2 ways out was the theme this year. And we had a young lady from Arlington Middle School, Megan Moss, who won first place in the entire state of Tennessee, represented Arlington well. And so I just wanted to recognize her tonight. I have a certificate for her. And it says 2017 Tennessee State Fire Prevention Poster Contest winner. This certificate is awarded to Reagan Moss for your dedication and effort in promoting fire safety by winning the 2017 Tennessee State Fire Marshal's Fire Prevention Poster Contest, State of Tennessee, first place, 6th grade. She also has her family with her and her 2 brothers, so we'll be ready.
Great. I don't want photo bombs in the back.
Mayor, come on down. Yes, her poster, yes, I'm sure her poster was out front as you came in. Oh, thank you, Brett. Oh, we're gonna stay right there. Thank you very much.
No. You can find yourself.
Well, Chief, since you have the podium, it's all yours.
Thank you. This will be our monthly report for our fire activity for the month of February 2018. We made 74 responses for February. 37 of those were EMS responses, 37 was also fire responses. We gave mutual aid 14 times and received it 12. We made 23 calls on or south of Interstate 40. 2 calls in special circumstances. The A shift made a call involving a tractor trailer that caught fire on Interstate 40. And they also made a structure fire, giving mutual aid to Shelby County and Memphis Fire, which was the backyard burner on Highway 64. We were unavailable on 2 of the calls, and mutual aid came in here and provided that. And twice we were on limited manpower, because we had personnel going to the hospital with the ambulance to render aid en route. Made a total of 13 inspections. We had 1 smoke detector installed. Some activity that went on, and Mrs. Pardue made a library on this later. We had a health and safety committee meeting and reviewed the safe room protocol for operations manual, updating that. I believe the last time it was updated was in 2013. So we're just changing a few of the contact information. Chief McMillan actually activated a portion of that during the storms that came through to the end of last month. It was that Saturday. Luckily, we didn't have a tornado warning, just like the prayers we mentioned. It was a blessing. So the system is going to work well. We're looking at maybe within the next 2 weeks having a dry run walk through that with the Health and Safety Committee and all personnel in contact with us. And secondly, as you notice, there's probably been a delay in getting that outdoor warning siren installed here, replacing the one on the hose tower. The vendor is very apologetic. They actually sent someone down out of Michigan to personally apologize to us that they're trying to work it out. We're looking at getting local vendors to do it, but they're running into issues with that, and they're looking at ways to resolve that. And as soon as I have any more information, I'll try to update you. So that's the delay of the sign. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Harville? Okay. I'll go at it since he mentioned you, Ms. Pardue. Do you have anything that you want to talk about with health and safety on that, or?
No, we included the minutes from our previous meetings in the packet. This most recent meeting that we have, we've made progress on getting our vision and purpose design, and we're still looking for a replacement member to replace Steve Beerbrot,
Okay.
who's not going to be able to. So Larry Myers, one of our members, is checking that out for us.
Okay. I had someone contact me for a different committee, but I didn't even think, I forgot we had a vacancy on there, so they just contacted me. Actually, after the Kiwanis Club meeting the other night, so I'll see if, what kind of background, if that's possibly something, I don't know.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
I actually told him to contact Angela. I don't know if you got a phone call yet from a gentleman about wanting to be on committees? Okay, I just sent him the number this morning, so I wasn't sure. All right, next up, special census update. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. We have submitted our final numbers. They came in at 13,218 citizens. We've submitted it, and it's under the review process. They will be going to verify about 20%. We're going to go door to door, and then we are just waiting on them to certify it before we can get it approved. So.
Great. I had it on my list of things to acknowledge, but I'll go ahead and do it now. I know you all are relieved, staff, and I know even sometimes the fire department came down and helped, whether it was make phone calls or stuff envelopes. I think it was a team effort from everybody across town staff. We had some aldermen and myself that even every now and then, I remember coming in and talking to Kathy one day about a meeting, and she pushed a box in front of me and told me to start folding. So I did, and it was good though. So it was good effort by everybody. I mean, I know sometimes there were a couple hundred that were hard to get in touch with, or maybe didn't want to cooperate for whatever reason on the census. But we appreciate the effort, and it's big for the town. So I mean, we said before approximately $125 per person. So that's a big number when you start adding that up over 1,000 people or more. So we appreciate all of you all, 'cause I know it was tax season too, and it's always tough at that time. So the office, if y'all came up here the last few days of February, it was absolutely nuts. So thank you all on tax season also. Next up, bond notification from the comptroller. Mrs. Owens.
In front of you, you have a letter that's from the comptroller of the treasury. They have approved our debt issuance. We are required to present this letter to you, but also to report, the form is number CT-02530. That's been attached to you as well. That has been submitted to the comptroller's office, but we are required to just inform you that you have it approved, so.
Any questions on the bond notification? Okay, next up, I guess, is me. I just have a few things. I say that every month, but I appreciate Mr. McKee talking about all the rain, because it's been as Mr. Perkins knows over there with his crew, it's been a lot of work, a lot of drains cleaned out, trying to keep up with the wettest month in history of this area last month. So we appreciate all the work that you all have done, and hopefully keep our fingers crossed that we can get some dry in time, I think for numerous reasons. For one, because we have a lot of people waiting to break ground on construction out here, and it's whether it's residential or commercial, and nobody can do it with the weather. So we pray for a little dryness here. It was good to see most of you all. I know at the Kiwanis dinner the other night. I'm not a member, but I appreciate the invite, and it was a good event. I talked to someone today who said that Arlington should be proud because of not just the elected officials that were there, but just the community itself, who all was involved and who all was there. So it was supposedly one of the larger gatherings of the club that the leadership has seen in the region. So that's good to know. So hopefully we can all start getting a little more involved. Let's see, special census. I do want to mention a couple of things. We do have spring break next week. I know Miss Mason and I want to say Miss Meeks. I'm sorry, but we have spring break next week, so schools are out. During that time, I'm supposed to mention the chamber lunch that's usually a tougher week during spring break. So Tanya wanted me to mention that the GM of Maine's is going to be there speaking. So if you don't have anything to do next week, please RSVP for the chamber lunch and try to help us keep a good crowd there. We've had some good crowds lately. And bring a friend. And I actually gave a kind of an update on the town last month at the chamber. It was a good crowd, and it was good. I mean, I enjoy just talking with folks and letting them know what's good is going on in town, and hopefully everybody got some good information out of it. This week, also on schools, we have the basketball team is in the state semifinals, quarterfinals, sub-state or whatever it's called.
They won us that.
Saturday night, so they're in state finals. State finals, first game Wednesday.
First game Wednesday, 11:30 against Bearden. Are you making a trip up?
I'm going to do my best.
I remember doing that a few years ago when the boys were there, so. All right, well, so yeah, if anybody's bored and wants to drive up to MTSU and back for the day on Wednesday, maybe we can make a road trip of it.
Make it more than one day.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if they, well, I'm saying I can't make it more than a day. I got to work on Thursday, so I can no go. But I do want to mention that on the school issue also, I got an impromptu meeting invited to last, I think it was like 7:45 for an 8:30 meeting on last week with Miss Mason and some of her staff, and it was from the school security, or the head of security from Bellevue. I think Pastor Newberry kind of helped set that up, and they had a specialist in town that used to Secret Service, former Pentagon head of security for 10 years. And it was a very good discussion. So when we hear all the stuff about school security and everybody kind of wants to see, what are you doing? Sometimes nobody knows what's actually going on behind the closed doors, the discussions. And so after those discussions the other day, I never was lacking confidence, but the confidence in some of the people that are at the table and some of the things that they're working on and looking at, I think we're in good hands. It's just a troubling time in our society, unfortunately. Let's see, Arlington in April is next month, of course. And last thing I have is, Kevin, just want to give a shout out to you and Darlin and whoever else helped with the basketball league. Basketball league's just finished up. I know you were there Saturday, so hopefully you guys can get a breather. But I was a part of, I coached, but I watched from the bleachers this weekend when I went to watch the championships. And Darlin had to stand up and turn around and basically lecture the whole crowd on, hey, let's have good sportsmanship and all that, because parents were getting into it a little too much. But she did well, you did well. I know you guys, it's time consuming, but I think in the end, all the parents, they loved it, the kids loved it. It's a good thing, so I appreciate all the work you all put into it. So please relay that to Darlin, please. That's all I have. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add? Mr. McKee?
Mike, you mentioned Arlington in April. The APTA is accepting volunteers that want to work during that too.
Always looking for volunteers at every event, aren't we?
This is one that's been taken over
Yes.
by the APTA from the town, and we're very gracious that they are.
Can I ask one?
Mr. McKee?
Just curious on going back to the census, just so people know, what type of increase is that on population-wise that we recorded?
It's about roughly 1,200
Okay.
in addition to what we were at 12,090 and we're going to 13,218.
Okay.
And when was the last one?
$150,000 a year.
$150,000 a year? Okay.
And when was the last census?
2013.
13.
The other one in 2020
Yeah.
conducted by the federal government.
Yeah, so,
And all homes have to respond to that.
I think we actually estimate about 14,700 here. So we did, it's harder to get people to sign up now.
70 addresses, a lot of those were vacant homes, some of them were apartments, some of them were under construction. But there were quite a few homes too that we just got 1 or 2 people per household on the record, so.
It's a little more difficult now than it used to be.
Yes, sir, it is.
people aren't as willing to give out information more, but,
Wonder how it's gonna be in 2020.
But it's
Yes.
federal government.
That's right.
well, they'll put it on social media, they just won't give it to the town, so. Any other comments or committee reports or anything like that? Okay. Treasurer's report. Mr. Brooks.
Okay, in the general fund, we had a beginning balance of $2,497,607.32, with an ending balance of $2,504,204.85. In our sewer fund, we had a beginning balance of $2,035,067.09, and an ending balance of $2,062,272.46.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? Seeing none, we'll move into old business. Item A, second and final reading of ordinance 2018-01 to further amend the Town of Arlington, Tennessee budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. Mrs. Owens.
This is the second and final reading of the second set of budget amendments for this fiscal year. There has been changes between first and second reading. Some of those changes are in regards to the school's general purpose school fund. You already adopted that resolution to approve amendments. It's just to include it into our ordinance.
You've heard the recommendation by Ms. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mrs. Pardue.
Second.
Second by Mr. McKee. Before we get into discussion, we do have a public hearing, so do I have a motion to suspend the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, open a public hearing?
Motion.
Motion by,
Second.
motion by Mr. Biggs, second by Mr. McKee. All right, so now we are on the public hearing. I'm used to Mr. Thompson doing that so much. I mean,
So quiet over here, you didn't even hear?
I mean, it was just automatic down there, so I got, maybe Jeremy can just pick it up every time.
Just that chair over.
Yeah, it's the chair. All right, we're on the public hearing, a second final reading of ordinance 2018-01 to further amend the Town of Arlington, Tennessee budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. Notice this public hearing was published in the Daily News on February 13th, 2018. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this request, please stand and be recognized. State your name and address for the record. I thought you were getting up, Mr. Allen, to come talk. Is there no one else for the public hearing? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and resume the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Harmon.
Second.
Second. All right. We are back on the main motion. Any discussion or questions on the budget amendments?
I just want to note, the school's quarterly report is included in your packet. If you have any questions for that as well, they're here.
Okay. No questions? No discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Any other old business, Mrs. Owens? All right, on to new business. First reading of ordinance 2018-02 to amend the Arlington zoning ordinance, chapters 2, 4, 6, to incorporate the temporary special events and add clarification on uses, rear yard coverage, and fence heights. Mrs. Reeder.
I'll speak up. This item that's in front of you tonight is something similar to what we did last year. So staff looks over the zoning ordinance throughout the year and keeps track of any clarifications or amendments that we believe might be necessary to clean up the ordinance or to be more in line with what the board is looking for. So tonight, we're bringing this in front of you. It's already been heard by the planning commission. This is a first reading, as you mentioned. The amendment will affect 3 chapters in the table of contents, and you have the edits red line in front of you with what's being added or removed. And I'll just briefly go through and get you a summary, and then if you have questions, we can answer it. First off, and I'll go in order of the way they occur in the ordinance. So first is the table of contents. We're adding section 4.2, which I'll discuss in a moment. So this just adds it to the table of contents as well. It's just clean up. The second is chapter 2, which is definitions. In that new section, we're introducing the term special event. This would add a definition of special events to our definitions section, just for clarification, and would clarify that it is for temporary activities that wouldn't otherwise occur on the site. Chapter 4 is our zoning district scope regulations and uses section. We're making 2 changes, I believe, 2 changes in this section. So the first one affects sections 4.8 and 4.93. And this identifies indoor climate controlled self-storage as a separate use from the current self-storage that we have here in town. So currently our ordinance lumps those together. So you have the more traditional storage, you think of the single-story long row of garage doors. This sets apart those that are indoor only, look more like an office building, don't have the roll-up garage doors on the outside, don't have the grid of asphalt driveways between them. Identifies that as a separate use that would be allowed with a conditional use permit, subject to a set of guidelines that are called out here. Those would be allowed in the B2 zones. Staff felt that we had a good number of requests for information about locating these, and we felt that the look is more in line with an office or commercial number of limits to one rolling door, which will be located in the rear, not located in front of the street. No outside storage on the lot, no overnight parking, things of that nature, and that the signage would match the zoning district. So it sets to make those look like any office building would in that. The next section in chapter 4 is 4.12. This is the new section that I mentioned we're adding. This section adds guidelines and some regulations for temporary uses as well as special events. So the language for the temporary uses, it addresses things like construction offices, real estate, yard sales, construction dumpsters, the portable storage units, so the pods that you see sometimes in front of these houses. These are things that we are faced with relatively frequently, and we have unwritten policies, but this just makes them more clear in the code so that staff is more confident answering those questions, and the residents and the developers have a more confidence that it's in writing what they are allowed to do. Things such as pods, someone's doing a renovation, being allowed for a limited duration, where it can be located, not in the street. Things that we're telling people now when they call, but it just keeps some consistency in our answers and make sure that everyone's using the same guidelines and gets the same information. The next section introduces special events, and this is in a direct response to the application that the board considered last November and approved. So, as I mentioned then, when we looked at this item, I was gonna add that to the zoning ordinance to reflect, what our intent was with that application and the consideration of special event permits. This section calls out what the intent is. It defines the difference between small and large, which is mirroring what was on the application you considered. It actually sets out some permit exceptions, which was based on some conversation we had at the board meeting. And it sets out performance standards to clarify what staff is supposed to be looking for when we evaluate an application that gets turned in. That way, we're looking at the same things and we're being more fair to all the applications that come in front of us and consistent again. So, as I mentioned, it also sets out what's not a special event and those exemptions that are called out. So, it clarifies that those occasional events, so the birthday party you're having at your house, the Super Bowl party where you invite people over, those are exempt. Those aren't a special event that you have to come talk to the town about, as long as it's on your property, and it's a standard residential event that you're hosting there. It also sets out some exemptions for non-residential uses, and calls out that those events that are occurring on non-residential sites that are fully contained within a structure there, and they have all the facilities, including parking, restrooms, and the like on site to accommodate it, that's not something that the town needs to be involved in. If you're having a holiday party at, say Microport decides to host a holiday party for their employees, they have the parking there, they can definitely handle all their employees on site. It's all internal, we don't need to know that. So it clarifies what would come in front of us. And lastly, I said it sets the performance standards. So it goes through and addresses the location and how compatible the proposal is. Compliance with other regulations, street closings, public safety, litter control, all the things that we're looking for when we look at an event that might come forward to us. The last chapter that we're amending is chapter 6, which is development standards, and there's two sections here that are being affected. One is section 6.51, and this language is existing in our code that states that the amount of your required rear yard should not be more than 30% covered with accessory structures. Now, the required rear yard is your rear setback. If your house isn't built all the way to your setback, you have extra yard. So it's just that back 20, 30, 40 feet, whatever your setback is. And this has been in the code for a while. We've had an issue with a lot of people coming in and they'll put a pool in and we'll calculate the size of the pool, but then they add a whole bunch of concrete around it and the patio that goes with it. We've got some smaller lots and smaller yards, and with that, you end up with a lot of runoff that's
affecting adjacent properties. So in an attempt to clarify, we've added the language here that includes your patio as well, so all impervious surfaces. So when we're looking at pool permits, which we do review here in town, we're asking for any of that concrete to be patio associated with it to be shown as well. So with the hope that this will reduce some of the drainage complaints and runoff issues that we're seeing in town. The last section that we're amending is section 6.7.1. Currently, the code states that the maximum height of a fence in a residential property is 8 feet. However, you have the potential if someone puts a retaining wall on the edge of their property to maximize their yard area. So if you have a slope and you decide to put a wall there so you have a more flat yard, with that retaining wall and then a fence on top of it, from the outside, that could get to be pretty tall. And I've kind of showed an example. That's not real tall, but you could see how if that wall was taller and you added a fence, your neighbor or someone on the sidewalk could be looking at quite a tall structure. So what we've done is just stated that if the combined height of two things such as that from the outside is going to exceed 8 feet, which is what we would normally allow for a fence, that you would take that fence and step it back some. So similar to here. If the total height's going to be taller, just step that fence back some, that they can landscape it. This doesn't have anything there, but it just avoids that vertical wall that can get to be pretty tall on some sites. And in an attempt to stop that from happening before it becomes an issue here. In addition, this is the end of the zoning ordinance amendments. I just want to note, last month as well, that the Planning Commission amended the subdivision regulations, and I sat those in front of you, a copy of what they changed. The main thing that I just wanted to let you know is the corner clearance that was discussed last year regarding the location of a residential driveway and how close it could be to the intersection of two streets. We did make an adjustment to that in the subdivision regulations, which was consistent with what the board had discussed last year. In addition, we adopted some standard details for construction, and I didn't give you those because there are about 40 of them. They look kind of like this. It's a standard box. It's got the town seal on the bottom and our name on it, and it's details for all the different things in construction documents to make sure that we're staying consistent. It also makes it easier for those that are reviewing the plans because they can look and see that it matches one of our details. They're not having to dive into each one quite so much to see if it's meeting all the requirements. They know if they're using that detail that they are. So that I just wanted as a courtesy to let you know the Planning Commission had done that. As I mentioned, they did consider this last month at a public hearing. This is a first reading. If it's pushed forward for consideration, there will be a second reading with a public hearing in front of the board, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Reeder. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Brooks,
Second.
second by Mr. Biggs. Discussion. I know I have one. Mr. Brooks, you go ahead. You were on the Planning Commission.
The
so-
only question I got is, you said set it back some. Don't you think it'd be wise to give them
4 feet.
2 feet, 4 feet, a set number?
It's 4 feet.
Thank you.
Okay, I was wondering about that, because my thought is teenager, kid mowing a yard, falls off, mower comes on top of them. Are we gonna be taking that liability because we didn't, provide some clarification around it and that?
It's 4 feet.
4 feet.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay. Since we have that slide up, I had the question on the pool.
I agree.
The reason why, because I wasn't able to attend the Planning Commission last month, but I can name just 3 yards offhand. Most of them are in Dawson's Landing, where the yard is long and narrow. When you're saying 30%, I just don't see that in some yards. So how are we going to overcome that? Can we overcome it with landscaping? I don't know what the discussion was last month, but that just seems, especially with some of our lots, it just seems like it's a real challenge, or you're going to have basically hot tubs as pools.
So
It's currently in the ordinance.
right, this language is in
Well,
there.
that much
It just
concrete,
doesn't
right?
I know.
currently state- It says impervious surface, no more than 30% can be covered by accessory structure clearly. But like I said, it is only the rear setback, so a lot of times homes aren't pushed all the way to their rear setback. So you might have 60 feet from your rear of your house to your property line. That first 30 feet till you get to that setback is open, and you can put your whole pool and patio area there. It's only that last rear percent that we limit to 30%, so you have some pervious area there.
So they may not be able to have the pool they want, they can have a pool, but it's gonna be smaller, based on, and subdivisions such as Dawson Landing, where they built all the way up to the 25-foot rear yard setback with the homes, does become challenging. Subdivisions like the Preserve, like Hayes Place, those subdivisions with a smaller yard do become a challenge. That's why in a lot of these planned developments, you ask for a community pool, because you know that a pool is not going to fit in some of these rear yards. The alternative to that, you said, or they install landscaping. The alternative to that is do a pervious surface. There are alternatives out there that you can put around a pool without it being completely concrete. But it's not just the pools that are issue. What people are doing is creating whole outdoor living spaces, and their whole rear yards are concreted. And if you've got several of those in a row, that storm water is just picking up velocity, going from one property owner to another property owner to another property owner, until you've got some erosion issues and some drainage issues, because they're not absorbing the storm water on their property. And with what we're going through with our MS4 permit right now, the state is trying, Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation is trying to get you to capture, post-construction, 1 inch of stormwater on every site. So this is working toward that direction, that you're not allowing so much impervious surface to be put in the rear yards of these houses, because sooner or later, a judge is going to rule as to whether or not we have to comply with that 1 inch capture.
Is there a way, or was there a discussion to require any type of drainage? If there was over a certain percentage, put so many drains in for so many,
You'd have to go all the way back around.
and run it back into your yard, you know, basically? I mean, I don't know if there were any discussions on anything like that, or,
We didn't have that conversation.
okay.
Mr. Mayor, those can be addressed, but a lot of that situation is smaller lot subdivisions we're discussing, or higher standard subdivision lots anyway, and that can be addressed if the developer has a concern, they can ask for this board to make an adjustment at the.
Okay, I think Jeff has something on the same thing.
So it says such as a round pool.
Around.
Right, I understand. It's the decking around it. So is the pool not included in that 30%?
It is. And currently, we're counting, so if you come in and I decide I want a detached garage, and then I want a shed, and I also want a pool, and then I want another shed, all those get added together, whatever falls in that back 30%. But what we haven't been capturing, and it happens on some of these PUDs, is in the rear yard where it's smaller, and they basically have concreted the whole thing.
It's
Some of
been
them-
that way for the whole 20 years I've been here, guys. She's changing a little language for some clarification, but that 30% required rear yard requirement has been there with every permit I've processed.
Well, then I guess my question is, some of the yards I've been in, are they what
You're
Mr.?
just now calculating the concrete.
That or there may be a variation in some of the law. I don't know if we've adjusted this.
We've just not asked them to disclose to us how much concrete is being poured
We're not
around it.
discussing people at this, up on this stage. So,
Can I borrow something from my next door neighbor?
yeah, exactly.
We're just
And I'm not
discussing them.
fighting this for any particular person sitting up on this stage. But I think there's a way to do this and allow people that do want that small yard outdoor living space that is becoming more and more popular. We're seeing it not just in Arlington, but it is very much a trend across the country to have that outdoor living space area. And I would think that there would be a way to, because even though we can do something with the PUDs and planned developments moving forward, you've got people that are sitting in neighborhoods right now that won't, they're gonna figure out a way to do it.
They're gonna
And-
do it with green infrastructure, with pervious surface.
Okay, but I'm just telling you, they're gonna figure out a way to do it. And so, wouldn't it be potentially better to look at saying, we can look at, such as right now, if a commercial development's done, we say, you've got to collect so much on these retention ponds. That's why we look like we have side hole pot bunkers for golf courses all around towns, because we've got areas for water to be retained, right, and then move out. Is there not a way to do something similar with landscaping, drainage, et cetera, so that water can flow through drains and then end up back into the storm sewer area, so it's not just running off of yards and those things?
You'd have to be looking at the construction plans to see, for example, if I was gonna concrete my whole patio as to where that was gonna run. We're not looking at individual sites at that detail level right now, so we're not gonna know the
Those
residents.
homeowners would all have to have their rear yards re-engineered to show us the drainage calculations and how they intend to deal with that. I mean, what we're trying to do is comply with what TDEC is handing down from the state level.
On that, but not to muddy this up, but on front yards, is there a percentage on front yards? I guess the reason I ask that, because what's there to stop pouring in the third driveway and then a pad to the side? I mean, is that not on the same type of conversation?
No, it's definitely worthy of a similar conversation, it's just not in this.
Okay, I didn't know if it was covered somewhere else that I was
I mean,
missing,
you
so.
can't have accessory structures in your front yard.
I was talking about more the concrete, the impervious is what I was talking about, just because I know there's some, with some small lots, a third driveway or a parking pad I didn't know if there was a percentage, okay.
Typically, the landscape requirements, and the HOAs are handling that for us. So.
Okay.
Let's say the house is not all the way back to the rear setback. So let's say you have an extra 30 feet there, you get credit for that 30 feet, right?
You can build whatever you want in that, because technically your house can extend to that.
Okay, but let's just say they want to put a pool at the back of their property, but they leave grass in that 30 feet. Will that count? Well, I mean, will they get credit for?
You don't have any kind of trade-off, I mean, I see what you're saying, there's nothing in the.
Because the runoff, I mean, if you had that extra 30 feet anyways, that's what we want, right? I mean,
There is kind of a trade-off, because the way you calculate that is if the house is sitting 96 feet off the rear property line, you're gonna take that 96 feet times the 100-foot width of the lot. The required rear yard is 25 feet times 100 feet. So they can't have any more than, what did you and I calculate?
Yeah.
71 feet
It was
plus
like
70%.
2,500 square feet of their rear yard could be taken up with impervious surface. So you do have a trade-off. They can put it back in that corner as long as you've got the majority of that property and they're not exceeding that threshold.
okay.
That's how it's.
I'd rather see us
calculated.
work
There
in
is
some
a
way
trade-off.
that we can provide an avenue of irrigation.
Okay.
But this is just the first reading, correct? So we can always come to Angela and have these conversations
Yes.
of ideas in the next month.
And you
Okay.
can't borrow from your neighbor to make it
Again,
work.
all we're doing is saying that now they have to disclose the concrete to be added into the 30%.
Before, you did not have to disclose
That's right.
concrete.
That's right, and I've walked into a backyard where the entire backyard is concrete and seen what it's done to their neighbors. So be careful.
Well, I understand that. It's just, but usually when you get a pool bid, it's for 3 feet on the, or, maybe 4 feet on the sides and
6 feet on the
3 feet, no, not that much on the ends. That's the standard pool bid, and then usually everybody adds concrete from there. That's why I'm just trying to head off any phone calls later.
There is an answer to future development, that's larger lots, I guess.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or at least larger rear lots,
Right.
which has kind of been brought before, and we've seen more bringing houses to the street, more, closer to the street.
Right.
That's where we may need to look at, from this point forward, any new construction falls under this language. Because if somebody bought the house in the past, they look at what was written and what we asked of them. And now this small language change, now they can't. It's gonna be hard to address.
You have to be careful, because people will build things over here, so my husband wants a shed right now. So, same thing, if you came in now, if you weren't needing it, but you came in to add something. Right now, we're going to apply to that person.
Keep in mind, there's always those people who ask for forgiveness and
That was a conversation we just were having up here. So, okay, that's the only question. Any other questions or discussion on any of these amendments right now?
Oh.
Yeah, we got plenty of time. Yeah, come on. That was just on that one, so it's open to whatever we're discussing right now.
Not me.
Okay. Mr. Harmon?
Got a question about the storage facilities going in B2. Right now, the multi-story warehouses, storage facilities, they can still be built in M1, correct?
In the industrial, yes, sir.
Right. I know with the planning commission, at first, it was brought to us for B2 and office.
Correct. And the planning commission recommended to remove it from the office to put it into only.
I think that was because we have a limited amount of office space. And when you look at the B2, we actually have a limited number of B2 space, which is for general business. One thing that concerns me is, and especially looking at some of the locations of B2, you've got it up and down Airline Road. And I'm kind of questioning, do we want to look at a multi-story storage facility butted up on Airline Road? Any new B2 that we may want to create later on will automatically grandfather another warehouse-type structure in anywhere that we want to create this.
Not the warehouse, this is the office building structure, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
That's to look like an office, right?
It's intended to look like an office. You do have a lot of B2 that's set behind shopping centers along your main commercial thoroughfares as well. So the thought is that these uses might be like a second level behind that and more of a buffer because of the limited number of traffic visits, things like that, lighting, noise, activity. So
And it's still being authorized as a conditional use, not as an outright right.
correct. So it would require ZBA approval.
But we as a board would not, once if we approve it here, then we've washed our hands of any future decision if somebody wants to create this.
They would have to come. correct.
Before the
If someone
BZA
wanted
and
to,
not-
they would
and
have
not
to go in
us.
front of the planning commission and the BZA.
Yeah.
Correct. And they would have to show how they met the policies that are set for it.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that, when you're talking about setting it back off of Airline Road, when you set it back, if you look, you have a lot of neighborhoods that it will butt up against. Now, are they gonna wanna look out and see a 4-story?
There's not a height, I mean, there's a height maximum, and you might guess that people would maximize their use, but they're not required to build. But currently, you could build a commercial structure in the other commercial structure, so an office building can go in the exact same location at 40-foot height, or.
Same height. No matter, it doesn't.
But
That's where, yeah, I guess that's where you would require the building materials where you wouldn't be able to tell.
there's a difference in function when you're having people going in and out of the storage facility all hours of the day and night versus an office building that's gonna close at a reasonable hour.
Well, but hospitals included in that B2 zoning too, so I mean, you could have in and out on those timings with the structure of that as well. My question would be, those that I've seen, the more glass that there is in the building, the nicer they look. Is there going to be any type of percentage requirement, I guess, with glass, so it's not just this big brick box? I don't know if you do that in design.
I mean, they would be reviewed by the DRC, so there would be a review of the exterior of it. We do have a maximum length of building wall you can have without any kind of articulation, things of that nature. So those would still apply. All of our design standards would apply from that zone, so from the commercial zone, not the industrial zone. So that's where you would have the ability to control the appearance.
You're seeing more and more of those mini storage places being put behind, like, I just noticed the one behind Walgreens down there at, across from Stonebridge. I didn't know that was there till I drove through there the other night, so,
Yeah, I deal with a few of them, so.
yeah, so, but, I mean, I noticed they had a cinder block wall all the way around it, and I think that was like a two-story one, but it didn't look like, one with just a chain link fence either, so I don't know. I mean, I understand what he's saying, but,
I do like the frontage change, though, the looks part of it.
Well, it kind of goes, you can dress a pig up, but it's still a pig.
any other questions on that particular issue, or any other issue, but that's, Mr. Harmon's.
Well, I'm gonna plan on coming and sitting and kind of going over some of that. I'd like to see some examples. I mean, I'm gonna say yes tonight, but I want to see some of that and take advantage of the next month on that.
Yeah, again, anything tonight, like Mr. McKee said, this is just the first reading, so
One,
take advantage, come sit down with staff.
one thing, and I know that I had talked to Kathy, and I think I talked to you a couple of years ago on kind of about swimming pools. A few years ago, an ordinance was put in, kind of wide sweeping, where you couldn't put a pool pump and filter on your side of your yard outside of the setback area. But yet you can have air conditioners and other things like that functioning that are honestly louder than the other. And we had discussed, or at least I had asked, for that to be looked at, to be changed. And I can't remember if we changed that or not. Okay, okay. I just want to make sure, because I was going to say if we didn't, now would be a good time since we're discussing some pool stuff. Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember. Thank you.
Yeah, that one kind of got by us a few years back.
Any other discussion about Mr. McKee?
Yeah, on the hours and duration, on the special, on the uses for special events, the last sentence on D, however, the duration of a special event may be modified by the approving body with condition attached to the event. And I think right now it's like 30 days, is that correct? Under one permit?
It's 14 days for commercial, 30 for seasonal sales, so 2 weeks.
Okay, what just popped in my mind sitting here was, let's say, music on the square. It's not actually a town event, but any event in this town, on town property is a town event. How would that work in that? Do they have to get one every month?
No, that would be a recurring, and that would be something where we built in the option to modify that with the approval. So you would modify that with the condition that the same conditions would apply to each, and you would set how many events you would expect to see.
Okay, for instance, this month you have this particular truck that was doing it, and they were going to do it for 6 months.
Are we talking a food truck?
Right.
So that's not affected
Uh,
by this. They would still have to be associated with the special event, so.
How does it work with
Not the same. The food truck would have to get a different permit all 6 months.
each 6 months?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On that same question, you said approval of the board. I don't have the language right here in front of me. I thought we discussed something to where, and I could be wrong, to where, because like somebody applied tomorrow and you're saying 2 weeks.
It says approving body.
That's the
Approving body.
time the event can occur. So the approving body would either be the town administrator.
Right.
Okay.
Or would be the board, depending on whether it's a small site.
Yeah, I just remember having that discussion at one point because we were talking about even throwing leaving it to y'all or myself or the mayor spot as an executive decision, I guess, because of timing. That's why I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember what that discussion was because we knew that there would be some that would be 2 weeks or shorter sometimes, and we wouldn't be able to have special meetings to come in here and govern it. So that's what I'm saying.
No, and we've asked, the application requests that they submit it a certain time period in advance of the event for for a small one and a slightly longer time period if it's a large, to make sure we have time to get it in front of the board for that approval. If it's, and that's something that's closing public streets, it's in excess of 200 people, so if you're gonna have 1,000 people show up and we're closing Airline Road for a little while for an event, that's something that we're putting in front of the board.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to just ask stupid questions, but say it's a rain out of an event, does it just get continued or something like that, like a 5K or something? There's no, because it's closing of roads and stuff, because I know there's a 5K in a couple weeks, and I think it got delayed originally.
We just submitted the dates for that one because everyone was in line, and we made sure that they re-talked to the emergency personnel
Okay.
from the sheriff's department.
I'm not trying to be more difficult.
No, I have no doubt you're on top of it. It's just some questions that I've just got to make sure that I'm kind of clear on, so.
We're just trying
Miss-
to show consistency.
Yeah. Mr. McKee, does that answer, you have some other questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till the next month.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Wait till-
talk-
in
I'm
between
gonna-
first and second?
Yeah,
Talk to staff between now.
Okay. Ms.
I'll be seeing you in.
McKee?
Heather McKee. Just to kind of give an overview a little bit on the driveway. I think that out of all these, this may end up being the biggest one that makes an impact when it comes to safety and neighborhoods and things like that. And so I don't have any particular specific question. I'd just like to hear from you in regards to what you see in the changes when it comes to from the corners and separation from each other, things like that, and where you see those happening, because I would imagine it's going to be on a less busy street where we see those things at. And I saw where it's a 35 mile per hour minimum or maximum speed limit in residential areas on those drives for 50 foot or less than 50 foot from the corner.
So when you have two intersecting smaller residential streets, what we did was reduce that distance measured from the end of the corner to the nearest edge of the driveway down to 20 feet. Previously, it was a 50-foot separation for that. Now, we maintain the 50-foot separation between the end of the curb and the driveway on busier streets, so streets that would exceed that, streets that are arterial to highways. So if you're at the corner of a residential street and Milton Wilson, your driveway's got to be set back farther because you're gonna have traffic traveling at higher speeds. It's gonna take longer for them to stop. So we want some distance so someone turning isn't immediately faced with someone coming in around the driveway. So that remained the way it is currently, the 50 foot. The only thing we changed is when you had two small residential streets, and we reduced that down. We found that we hadn't had any problems or enforcing that very well in town, and we found that other cities had smaller distances on those residential streets, and there had been no concerns. We hadn't had any problems with it, so that's the only section that changes.
Do you feel that 35 miles per hour is slow enough?
I believe that's
30 is the lowest amount the Shelby County Sheriff's Department will enforce in a residential neighborhood. So if you're not comfortable with 35, my suggestion would be that you take it to 30.
and it's 35 or less, so.
And that's all subject to engineer and everybody's,
And there's also.
I mean,
a
I know the
designation
max.
of the street, so it's not just the speed limit, it's the street designation. So 35 on an airline road is not the same as on a small road.
Sure, because it probably won't stay 35 everywhere down Airline Road through the, yep. Okay, thank you.
all right. Anybody else have questions right now? Mr. Harmon?
Little clarification on the special event application. When they, I was understanding that when they do an application, that it would be good for a month.
Their application is gonna, in their application, they have to tell us how long the event is. So it's a one-day party, it's a two-day weekend, barbecue festival, whatever it is. There's a maximum amount of time that special event can occur. So if someone comes in and wants to have a harvest festival, it can't go on for an entire month. There's a limit on it. That's what those limits are in here.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering with the special event application to make sure that it was not, it couldn't be abused as far as someone having some property, getting the special event application, and then repeatedly using it to bypass a use that the property would normally have.
Sure, now, and it's a specific, it would be for a specific event, and they'd have to pay the permit for that event each time. It also, if you look at the definition we added, it states that it is a temporary, and in the language, real quick, it also, in the very beginning, with the intent section, it states it's for the occasional use of property. So we didn't want to go in and specifically limit someone, but we did want the ability, because if it was being abused and it's on a list, to clearly state this is not occasional, if you're doing this, if you're requesting it every week, but, then that would be a clear cause for us to.
Well, I'd just make sure we would have guidelines in place to rectify a situation if it became like that.
Sure, yes.
There is, okay.
Is that all you have, Mr. Harmon? Okay. Any other questions on this first reading? Okay. Remember, this is just the first reading. Any other questions or discussion, get with staff before next month, please. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Next, item B, first reading of ordinance 2018-03. What? I thought
He said no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't hear that. Please note for the record, Mr. Harmon was a no on that, on the first reading. Item B, first reading of ordinance 2018-03 to abandon certain parcels of excess right-of-way, Mott Street in Arlington, Tennessee, and transfer the underlying right-of-way to the adjoining property owners. Mrs. Reader.
This ordinance in front of you, as it mentions, is to abandon excess right-of-way on Mott Street. So the area in question, just to orient you here, this is Railroad Tracks Depot Square, Chester, coming through here. Mott, the far eastern end, right before you reach the T-Dot yard, maintenance yard here. So that last portion of Mott Street, which you can see it's unimproved at the moment. So this would abandon that portion of Mott Street. It is associated with a project that was looked at previously by the board and the planning commission and approved. So this is that section of roadway. It would be improved with the project moving forward. That project did include the potential for connections to adjacent properties, so we would still have connections throughout that area. There would no longer be a public right-of-way that would be maintained by the town. This shows it on a parcel map. As it mentioned in the title, when we abandon the right-of-way, the right-of-way goes to the owners on the other side from the center line. So the center line north would go to these two property owners, and south would go to the property owner here. This is the first reading. There will be a second with public hearing.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Reader. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion. Second.
By Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Brooks.
Everybody.
Any discussion or questions on this first reading? I think
Boy,
we-
it sure will make it look better.
Yes, it will. And I think we had a pretty in-depth conversation just about this project last month, so. So if nobody has any questions or doesn't want to address them tonight, they can still get with staff between now and next month. Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Item C, first reading ordinance 2018-04 to abandon certain parcels of excess right-of-way at Quintard Street in Arlington, Tennessee, and transfer the underlying right-of-way to the adjoining property owners. Mrs. Reader.